Okay, good morning everybody. My name is Jeffrey Adam, and I am the creator of Mycronic Silver. It's the only organically stabilized silver anywhere in the world. We have multiple products. We have our Mycronic Silver, our Shingalese, our Liazone, our Silvazone, and our new Canazone product, which actually has the CBD oil in it. I'm the founder of Nature's Miracle Silver Lining. I was introduced to silver back in 2007 when I was having a problem with pneumonia. Almost every year I would get pneumonia, it seemed like. And I was working on a project and I met a biochemical engineer that actually introduced me to silver and said, hey, if you take this for your pneumonia, it'll work. Well, being that I was a contractor in my previous life, I kind of know everything, so I kind of argued with him. And he said, fine, you'll still be sick tomorrow, go to the hospital and let them kill you. And he walked away. About an hour later, he comes up to me and he says, do you know how people die from pneumonia? And I always wondered, I was a big Bernie Mac fan. And I was like, how does somebody with a celebrity status and all this money die from pneumonia? I mean, they can afford the best medical care. And this gentleman explained to me that there are 7 medicines that work on pneumonia. And 4 of them are different compilations of the same medicine, much like amoxicillin, erythromycin, penicillin. He says, and they're ineffective within 7 years of each other. So by the time you get to the 3rd year, it's critical, and the 4th year becomes terminal because they just can't treat you. And that kind of scared me. And so I said, you know what, I'll try your product. And he's like, no, I'm not wasting it on you. You're just going to take it home. It's going to sit on your counter. And he says, go to the doctors and let them kill you. And he walked away. So I finished doing what I was doing, and I went up to him and I said, you know what, I really want to try your product. And he's like, you're not going to take it. I said, go get a spoon. I'll take it right now. I said, what you said actually scared me because I didn't know a whole lot about medicine then. So he got a spoon and I took it, and he's like, you're not even going to ask what it tastes like? I'm like, at this point, I don't care because I know I'm tired of being sick. And I explained to him, every time I got pneumonia, it was 6 weeks of prednisone and Z-Paks and months to feel normal again. And I was tired of it. So I took it, and he let me take the bottle home, and I took it a couple more times throughout the night. When I woke up in the morning, I had absolutely no pain in my lungs. And about 3 days later, my pneumonia was completely gone. I have not had pneumonia since, and that was 2007. And so I went back to him and I asked him, I said, what is this stuff? He said, it's a type of ionic silver that I make. Now, this man was a nuclear biochemical engineer, but one of about 8 in the world. He lived in a penthouse overlooking Lake Michigan. So I started inquiring more about it and finding more about it. And I said, we need to do something with this. We need to get this out there. And he's like, Big Pharma won't let you. He said, they don't want you to have anything that works. He said, hospitals use it for silver. When they do operations, they wash the operating rooms down with ionized silver to kill MRSA and staph infections. When babies are born, they use silver nitrate to clean out the eyes of babies so they don't get the bacteria going through the birth canal. I think now they've actually switched to clindamycin. The problem with the silver nitrate is silver is a water-based product, and when it evaporates, the nitrate can actually burn the optical nerves, is why so many kids now wear glasses. Because 50 years ago, you'd have 2 or 3 babies born in a hospital. Now you could have 40 or 50. So when they wash the eyes out, they don't actually rinse them out correctly, and they can leave a child with the silver in their eyes. And then the silver evaporates, the nitrate burns the optical nerves, and now they need to wear glasses. So that started my journey on finding out about silver. And I asked this gentleman, I said, why don't we go forward and make this? And he wouldn't do it. He's like, I don't want to do it. So I bought a silver generator and started making colloidal silver like everybody else. And I stayed in touch with this gentleman and kind of got as much knowledge as I could from him on not only silver, but all parts of health and how your body works and how things metabolize in the blood and how blood carries oxygen molecules and what the silver does with it. And I started doing a lot of research. Now, I'm an avid researcher. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a chemist. I'm just somebody that I have ADD, so I have to know why things happen and why they work the way they do. And ironically, I found out that's the number one thing a scientist says. The number one question they ask is why. Why does this do this? Why does this cause this to do this? Why does this react with this way? And that's what really spurred me with the searching. And the more I found out more disinformation than information. And I come up with a theory on silver. When I had talked to this gentleman, his name's Marshall, I asked him about stabilizing silver because he said he didn't want to work with it. It's unstable. a couple degrees different temperature difference when you're making it can actually make a different product. It reacts with sunlight, it reacts with heat, it reacts with its environment around it. And I found it really interesting that everybody that makes a colloidal or ionic silver makes it the same way. They put a jar, they put hopefully distilled water in it, but a lot of people make it out of their well water, and if there's different metals or sulfurs and that in there, it's actually going to react different. They're going to have a different product every time they make it. So when we were researching it, we found out that because it's not stabilized, there are certain properties when you make a colloidal silver or ionic silver that you want to start out with distilled water. Now the stabilization part is very hard. I had a theory, I took it back to this gentleman and I said, you know what, I think I figured out how to stabilize silver. And at which point he says, I've been trying it for 50 years, I'm smarter than you, what makes you think that you've got the formula? And I said, I don't know, I look at things differently. So he said, nope, you're ridiculous. I said, you can use ozone. He's like, you even know what ozone is? I said, well, the government says it's a noxious gas. Dentists say it's a really good thing. A lot of medicals, they're starting to actually use it for cancer treatments now. So, I researched ozone. He said, ozone and silver are like you. They don't want to get along with anybody or anything. He's like, they're incompatible. So silver has a half-life. A half-life means 5 minutes from now, it's half as effective as it was 5 minutes ago until oblivion. He goes, it won't work. So I left it at that. About 6 months later, he called up and he says, I figured out how to stabilize silver. I was like, great. I said, how do you do it? He says, ozone. It's like, I remember a conversation I had with a gentleman about this about 6 months ago. He said, yeah, but you might as well said peanut butter because you had no idea what ozone was. And he was pretty much right. I mean, I didn't have a lot of background on it. It was just a theory that I had. And he said, the problem is we have to have a theory, then we have to test the theory. And we have to go through these stages to see if it'll work. He says, right now in theory, it'll work. So I said, okay. And he says, it's going to be expensive. And I'm like, okay, how much? He's like, I'm going to need about $7,000. So I hopped in my truck, I drove out to Chicago, and I gave him a check for $10,000. He looks at me, he goes, are you stupid or you just don't listen? I'm thinking, oh my God, did you say 70,000? Because I don't have that much. And he says, no, I said $7,000. You must like to make money or waste money. He's like, he says, this is $10,000. I'm like, okay, put $3,000 in your account and pay yourself for the work that you did. If you need to buy equipment, buy the equipment. And we started the process. I went through that 5 times. Finally, he says, okay, it'll work. He goes, but the equipment that we need to do this stuff doesn't exist. He's like, and I can't make it. And I said, well, I'm a contractor. I can build anything if I know how it works. And we invented the machinery that actually makes our micronic silver. And it's a 3-step process. It's not just hooking electrodes to silver and go, wow, I've got the world's best product. Which ironically is, if you look at people that sell micronic or ionic and colloidal silver, they're all saying they have the best product out there. There's 3 companies that make silver generators and they all work the same, but yet everybody's got a better product. Ours is actually a 3-step process. So we go through restructuring the ions, manipulating it, getting to create ozone inside itself. So we don't add anything to our product. It's all done with our process that we have, which is a proprietary process. So we are the only people in the world that have a silver that's not destroyed by stomach acid. All silvers are a sublingual delivery system, meaning they're absorbed under the tongue and distributed through your immune system. When you swallow it, it hits your stomach acid, creating silver chloride, destroying the silver. Ours doesn't do that. Now we know ours doesn't do that because if you have Crohn's disease, diverticulosis, ulcerative colitis, fibromyalgia, food poisoning, our product eradicates it, or helps your body eradicate it, I should say. We have people that had food poisoning, Salmonella coli, that take 2 teaspoons of our product, and in 4 minutes their food poisoning is gone. So we know that the stomach acid does not destroy our silver. We actually are launching our company here today. So it's been kind of a furious last week and a half with our marketing companies getting all of our signs together, our printed stuff. Our website, I think, went up at midnight last night. We're still working on the shopping cart. We actually can have a whole host of products because our silver is stabilized. It doesn't interact with its environment around it. So temperature doesn't affect it. Light doesn't affect it. We actually have plans to make feminine hygiene products, deodorants. It can be added to food products. If you take our micronic silver and you put 2 glasses of milk on your counter, half full, you put a teaspoon of our Mycronic in one of those cups or glasses, and just milk in the other and leave them on your counter for 5 days, you're going to want to have some kind of cellophane or cap on the milk without our product in it, because it'll be like cottage cheese. Ours will be so fresh you can drink it. So we've had a lot of anecdotal stuff like that on our product that we know it works the way it works. We've been meeting with investors. We've got some investors that are putting money into our company. All of the data that we have right now is based on silver in general and the last 7-8 years of making our product with customer testimonies. So we will be getting the scientific data on our product coming soon, because that's kind of expensive. And like I said, I don't have that much money. Are you familiar with the history of silver? Because there are some people that are. It dates back to the Phoenicians. They used to line their vessels with silver because they store their water in it, and they realized that their water would stagnate. And if they lined the vessels with silver, the water wouldn't get rancid, and their oils wouldn't get rancid. It goes back to the Romans in 50,000 BC, the Greeks and the Romans. Hippocrates is the father of modern medicine. He used to tout the healing properties of silver. A surgeon in 1891 named B.C. Creedy used silver to help wounds and heal wounds after operations. Throughout history, silver has been used for bacterial growth. It's been used in medicine, surgical stitches, eye treatments. Soldiers and victims during war times, especially World War I, they used silver compounds in the field for healing. A decade later, over 3 million prescriptions were being written annually for silver. Now, what happened is, I think it was around 1936 when penicillin was discovered. What the pharmaceutical companies realized is they couldn't patent silver because it's part of our monetary system, but with penicillin, they can patent the formula. That's when silver started kind of dying out a little bit. They went more to that because they could patent it. They control the supply. So the demand outreaches the supply, and you know what? They're posting about a 4,000% profit margin now. You know, people get upset about gasoline companies making their 10% on volume, or insurance companies making about 36%. Think about that. The pharmaceutical companies make 4,000%. There was a time, I think it was in the early 80s, where Johnson & Johnson had nitroglycerin, which was for people with heart conditions. That same prescription in the same bottle with a different label to farmers was $7 for a month's supply for their pigs for skin rashes. For humans, it was almost $3,000 for that same bottle. The pharmaceutical companies, I'm not anti-pharmaceutical. I'm anti-over-prescription. When you're talking about natural remedies, every pharmaceutical out there is based on a plant. What the pharmaceutical companies do is they break down the compounds, they target what the effective part of that is, and then they see if they can make a synthetic that does the same thing, because they can patent it. Once they patent it, they can charge whatever they want for it. They control the supply. So again, once the demand outreaches the supply, they get whatever they want. If you've been sick with a condition for 30 years, there's probably not something natural that's going to take care of it right now. My problem is it's always the first thing to do. You want a medicine here, you want a medicine there, we have to inoculate here, we have to vaccinate you here. Your immune system is capable of handling everything that the world can throw at your body. Silver is a critical part of helping that because it boosts your immune system. It enables your immune system to fight almost every condition out there, and with no side effects. The one thing that colloidal and ionic silver have in common is they're good products. They work. You just have to take a lot of them. So typically, silver lasts in your body for about 6 to 8 minutes, precipitates in your blood, and gets washed out through your lymphatic and your waste system. This means that for it to work well, you really have to take it about every half an hour, every hour to be effective. And it'll work as good as any antibiotic out there in your system because it's getting your immune system to do what it needs to do. It was Dr. Robert Obecker who was doing research for the Department of Defense on regrowing limbs in the 80s. And he was having some success with it, and they actually cut his funding. Because he found that in the presence of the right kind of silver, your body will help reproduce fibroblast cells, which turn to stem cells. Now, the medical community wants you to believe that the only way that you can get stem cells is from the cord blood or your bone marrow. Well, Dr. Becker proved that it's not true. Your body can create them if you have the right things in your body, and one of them is the right type of silver. We believe that we found that key to that right type of silver with our product, because we do have people all the time that call us up, and all of our customer testimonies about how our product works. And our product stays working your body for 6 to 8 hours, not 6 to 8 minutes. That's part of the stabilization process. We also know that the way that silver works in the blood is that silver will help bolster the immune system against eradicating bacteria, viruses, and pathogens. Now, your immune system is really neat in the way it's designed, is because your white blood cells actually have like a little syringe that comes out and sprays an organic hydrogen peroxide on bacteria that kill it. Well, that works really well with the silver. We like to call it rocket fuel. When you put the hydrogen peroxide together with the right types of silver, it just supercharges your immune system. And now it's eradicating things one after another in your system. Our Mycronic silver only targets the bad bacteria, not the good bacteria. Reason being, your bad bacteria has, or your good bacteria has a milk fat layer protein around it, which does not allow our silver to steal the electron. The way our silver works is our silver has a higher atomic mass than the nanosilvers out there. So typically, when you take a silver product, it has to be absorbed into your cell to work. And again, it works good, but you have to keep adding it there because of the lifespan of silver itself is only 6 to 8 minutes. What our product does is when our product hits the disease or pathogen, so this is our silver, it actually has a higher atomic mass. It actually steals the electron, rupturing the cell wall, destroying the bacteria on contact. The key to our product is being antiseptic, meaning that the disease states can't morph to become resistant to our silver. Now, it also means that when our silver steals that electron, the molecular makeup of silver does not allow it to hang on to that electron. So it has to go somewhere. It ejects it into the nearest cell, which is usually a blood cell, and gives you energy. And then our silver stays active and goes over to the next one. So when I equate other silvers are like, if you're a fisherman, it's like casting out and catching a fish. You catch the fish, you got to put a new worm on your hook. Well, our silver I equate to having a fishing net, throwing it out there and just gathering all these fish and then throwing your nets out again. So ours is a broad spectrum. It covers a whole lot of things in your body. It reduces inflammation and pain. It just helps the immune system do everything it's supposed to do as it was designed by our creator. This is our first time coming in a show because, again, we're just launching the company here. So if you have more questions, you want to come by our booth, we are more than happy to talk to you about some of the things that our product does. You wonder why more people don't know about silver. A lot of that has to do is because the pharmaceutical companies don't want you to know about it. During this pandemic time, I think a lot of you are finding out that there's a whole lot of misinformation. It seems like our government now is specializing in misinformation. We try to clear that up as much as we can. Our company, we like to educate people not only on our process, but on how the human body works. We don't only promote our products. If we find another product that we think is good for a person, we share it with them. And that is to keep us grounded. We want to see people get better. Our goal isn't just about making money. Our goal is to actually give people sources to make them better and to help them overcome whatever challenges they have. I know this is probably a little short, but because I don't have my PowerPoint, I don't have a whole lot left to go on. If you want to ask questions, I'd be more than happy to take your questions.
Have you heard of Angstrom silver?
Yes.
What's the difference between that and ionics?
I haven't seen how theirs are made or processed. Again, it's probably a typical type of ionic silver. That's one of the reasons why we named our product Mycronic silver, is because ours is different. I'm sure theirs works fine. There's a lot of them. There's the biosilver and the mesyl silver. They all tend to work, but you have to take them a lot more than you would take our product. The absorption rate, everybody's heard the saying, you are what you eat. That's not true. You are what you absorb. So you can have the best diet in the world, but if you're having a problem with absorption, it's not going to benefit you. Professional athletes are actually a good case of that because they have the best doctors in the world. I mean, these guys are getting paid millions and tens of millions of dollars, but they get sick. And a lot of it is because of absorption issues. So I would have to take a look at their product and see how it goes. We have compared our products to their products or some other products. like the Sovereign Silver. Our product's different. I'm never going to tell you that's somebody else's product, especially if I don't know how it's made or what it is.
Does your booth have a number?
Yeah, and I don't remember what the number is. I think it's 314, if I'm not mistaken.
You said you are looking to absorb.
Yeah.
Now, if there's an unhealthy person that has trouble digesting the foods or even silver, I mean, let's say you have to have probiotics and enzymes if the person is unhealthy to absorb your silver.
Again, if it's the problem with absorption, it's multifaceted. Because ours is the sublingual and the ingestive delivery system, it's going to be more effective. But yeah, you're right. If they're generally that bad off, and that's why we have a lot of discussions with our customer about where they're at, about what their diets are, some of the things that they're experiencing. Inflammation is also a key to absorption. So most people, if you have a lot of sugars, you have a lot of inflammation in your system. The thing we know about silver is it reduces inflammation. So that can help take care of some of the absorption. Doing some of the colon cleanses and liver cleanses actually greatly helps with most conditions in the absorption of whatever you're going to take. Yeah. Go ahead.
What is the suggested protocol with your silver? How are you supposed to take it?
We recommend taking it as like a supplement or a daily preventative for maintenance. You just take it once a day. You hold it in your mouth for about 30 seconds to a minute. You take a teaspoon a day, and then you swallow it.
Okay, one more question. Do you know anything about IV silver, taking a silver IV?
They're starting to do it for cancer now. Your products have to be certified to be done, to be taken intravenously, and that means that there's a whole lot of stuff we'd have to go through to get it. Ours is actually a medical grade, where I believe that because ours is filtered down to 0.025 microns, they could probably add saline to it, and you could do it intravenously, but we can't tell you to do that, and we can't make any claims to do that. We'd have to go get registered and tested for that part.
Well, I was recommended that I go on this IV protocol, but I don't have cancer that I know of. So,
The average person goes through 42 cycles of cancer in their lifetime, and usually your immune system defeats it. So it's usually a stress-activated thing. Your diet is going to actually affect most of what you have. 70% of all illnesses are diet-related. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of Dr. Joel Wallach. He's been a big proponent of that, and he's actually done a lot of research on a lot of things with diet. And he said about 75 or 80% of all illnesses are actually diet-related. So, and he's cured people with diabetes through their diet.
well, the kind of silver that they want to do is hydrosol? Is that?
Yeah, hydro means water, sol means suspension.
Oh,
So it's silver suspended in water.
okay.
Yeah, and I like I said, I don't know their products, and I'm never going to bash their products. Again, silvers are effective; they work. We feel ours is a lot better.
Okay.
You had a question?
Can you talk a little bit about the information out there about the toxicity of silver and where you think that's coming from and any validity to it?
Yeah, it's the pharmaceutical companies do a real good job of trying to make you afraid. A perfect example of that is what we have going on today. There's so much misinformation with it. Silver has been used for thousands of years, and it was a mainstay. Before 1936, they used silver for treating everything. Globally, it was always out there. Now, what the pharmaceutical company's done is, much like with holistic health, when you look at doctors, you've got your OBGYNs, you've got your brain doctors, your heart doctors, your lung doctors. If you're natural, you're all lumped in one. They lump your vitamins and nutritionists with the energy healers, with the Reiki specialists, and everybody one. And so they want to make it seem like everybody who does natural is crazy. And I'm not cutting down anybody else's thing that they do. There's a whole lot of spirituality that's involved in healing for different levels. And I, for one, believe that if you go to somebody who's an energy healer and you feel better afterwards, keep going. Even if somebody gives you a placebo and it makes you feel better, why would you stop taking a placebo? There's a study called neuropsychoimmunology, and it's a study of the auditory system in response to the immune system. And they found that when people are told that they have cancer, and if they're really crushed by it or they're more of a negative person, their immune system will shut down by up to 20%. Where if they're confident they'll get over it, their immune system can be bolstered up by 20%. So, like I said, the pharmaceutical companies do a real good job of muddying the waters out there. And a lot of that was derived by a gentleman that, I can't remember his name, but Paul Carlson. They call him Papa Smurf. And Oprah had him on a show, and he took so much silver, his skin was blue. And they talk about the Ageria. Now, this gentleman, he was diagnosed at the Mount Sinai Medical Clinic of cancer, and they gave him about 6 months to live. So this gentleman drank about 1.5 gallons of colloidal silver he made out of his well water, so it wasn't distilled water. And he took it, but that wasn't what turned him blue. What turned him blue is he put silver salts and proteins on his skin. And then when you went out in the sun, silver reacts with sunlight. That's why they use it for developing film. It actually turned his skin a bluish gray color. And what really didn't help is that he had white hair. So he really looked like he was blue-gray. The pharmaceutical companies actually paid him to go on tour because they wanted to make you afraid. Oh, if you take this, you're going to get Ageria. And then they said, well, you can't do anything to get rid of Ageria. Well, sure you can. You can do chelation agents. Or there's actually laser treatments that are a little more painful that you can do. But I think there's only been about 4 or 5 people in history that have ever really turned blue from silver, and it was from putting silver salts and proteins on their skin. Because silver is dispelled from your body. So typically with the colloidals and ionics and silvers is they stay suspended in your body for about 6 to 8 minutes. They start precipitating in your blood, and they get washed out through your waste and lymphatic systems.
So you won't be accumulating.
No, it doesn't accumulate. I equate it to vitamin C. Your body will get rid of what it needs. And I'm sure just like anything else, if you take way too much of it, you could drink, if you drank 3 gallons of milk a day, you'd probably end up with some kind of cancer. Or weight problem, right? Or a distaste for milk. Yeah, so, moderation and balance in life is a lot of things. But they do want to make, they don't want people to realize how powerful silver is, especially since its long history. The pharmaceutical companies actually tried to patent silver. And because it's part of our monetary system, they couldn't do it. And that's when they put out the campaign of, well, let's kind of tear it down and make people think it's, it's bad for them. You have magnesium, you have manganese, you have all these minerals in your body, but you never see anything about silver. They're so afraid of it getting traction that they want to shoot down everything you could possibly do with silver. And I think everybody should have some kind of silver product on their shelves. You get burns, hospitals use silver sulfidine on burns. And I actually, if you want to come by my booth, I have pictures of, I had a burn on my hand from oil at 400 degrees, came all the way down. They were talking about cutting off my 2 fingers. And you can see the pictures. I've got 23 days worth of pictures every 2 days. When I burned my hand, I actually put it in put a 1-quart bag, dumped our product into it, put it on there and taped it around my wrist. The paramedics came, they took a look at it, they're like, yeah, you need to call an ambulance, we're gonna get you to the hospital, you're in shock. I'm like, I'm not in shock. And I took the tape off, pulled my hand out, and about 30 seconds later, felt like it was on fire again, so I put it right back in the product. When I drove myself to the hospital, the first thing the doctor wanted to do is, now my hand was all swollen, so they had up all that antiseptic that your body's creating in there. And he's like, well, we're gonna cut off that dead skin. I'm like, don't you cut off that dead skin. He's like, well, it can get affected. No, if you cut it open, it gets infected. Leave that there. So I just had him wrap it and dress it. I actually treated my hand to full recovery was 23 days using our products. And they were talking about cutting off my fingers. They're like, you're going to have nerve damage, you're going to have these problems. Even the hair follicles grew back, which they said wouldn't. And when we get back to the booth, you're more than welcome to feel my hand. There's absolutely no scar tissue. I have no nerve damage. That's actually what caused me to quit doing my other job and to go after this company, because this was just a hobby. And it's like, we really need to get it out there. Next question? Okay. And the white...
Dangers at all to taking silver, or anyone who shouldn't take it, or any cross reactions with anything?
I myself, I've read over 37,000 pages of reports in 6 different countries on silver. I've never heard of anybody having a reaction to it. I'm sure there's somebody out there that has an allergy to it that probably shouldn't take it. I myself have not experienced anybody that shouldn't take it, and I haven't experienced anything that would say that it's unsafe. And again, this is part of the campaign that they have. If you look up GlaxoSmithKline on their website, they may have taken it off there, but I did this about 10 years ago, and I looked at the Dulira and these other medicines and the long list of side effects. And then I looked up silver, ionic silver, colloidal silver, and they said could cause brain disease in infants, could cause liver damage and you turn blue. That is permanent. And then underneath it says, no significant studies have been done to verify these statements. So they want you to take this stuff, and they've got this long list of side effects, including death and some other things that are just too grotesque to imagine that can be happening to a person. But the thing that they don't want you to take, they said, oh, it could turn you blue, you know, cause liver damage and brain problems with babies, but we have no proof. So I usually suggest people with anything that they take, try a little bit of it, see if you have some kind of reaction. The only reaction I could think that you would have would be a healing crisis or the Herxheimer's effect, where it's killing off more bacteria in your body than it can process, at which point you would drink water. And again, they're starting to use silver for cancer treatments now, and intravenously. They're using it for a lot of different things because it is so well known for being antiseptic and antibacterial and antifungal and antiviral. Okay, now you.
I have three little small questions. So one is there a particular age that it's not good for? Like, should you not use it with your babies?
We had a woman that, she's actually a pharmaceutical rep, and she's actually come on and started selling our product, and she's been using it for about 7 years. She has narcolepsy, so she had some other conditions. And with her first child, she had a lot of problems. With her second child, it was after she met us, she's like, you know, I want to take this for my baby, you know, during the growth of my baby or the development of my baby. And her doctor wanted her to come in every week because of her health issues and be tested. All the way through her pregnancy, everything was perfect. Her baby was born 3 weeks early. And the nurse was in there looking at her baby, and he goes, oh, this boy went full term. And she's like, no, he was weeks early. And she's like looking at the development of the way, I guess they can tell by the feet if a baby's gone full term. And she's like, no, your guy's gone full term. She's like, no, he was weeks early. She didn't have a single problem throughout her whole thing, and the doctors were astounded because they were really expecting her to have problems. Now, her third child, she wasn't able, or she didn't take the product that we had, and she had problems again through her first half of pregnancy, and then she started on a product, and then they all went away. Now, her kids are healthy. Her first child has asthma and some other problems, which you can't equate it to pretty much anything. But her other two kids are really healthy.
You can give it to small children.
Yeah, and you can give it to pets. We have a lot of people that use it for our pets. We actually have Autumn Green Animal Hospital that's been using our product for several years to treat pets, and it's highly effective, especially with horses and cats, because they have a real delicate immune system.
What about for nebulizing?
Nebulizing? You know, I'm really glad you asked that, because I myself have asthma. And I had the coronavirus back in February. And I realized that nebulizing with it, I don't nebulize with albuterol anymore. I do the silver, and it does pretty much the same thing. About 2 weeks ago, I've been on a radio program for a couple months now out of DeKalb, and the host, his name's Jim Mason, he collapsed in a Cooper's Hawk. And they took him to the hospital, 78 years old. They tested him, go, you have coronavirus, now go home. His oxygen was 92 when they sent him home. If you're an asthmatic and you go into the hospital, they don't let you walk out until you're breathing 95% oxygen retention. But they sent him home. So he called me on his way home. He goes, what do I do? I said, well, leave the hospital as quick as you can because you're probably going to get sicker there. I took my nebulizer over to him, got him on my chronic. By the second breath, he was coughing up the phlegm. I know we've used it, and we've had other people with asthma and stuff that have used it have had really good results. When somebody's had pneumonia, they've nebulized with our product and seen good results. So I would say, yeah, it's really good to nebulize with it. And I'm sure other silvers probably would work well too. I just don't think they would work as well as ours. Okay, another question?
Yeah, do you prefer, I mean, some silvers will tell you to only take it when you're sick, not to do it long term. Do you recommend doing this every day, like preventative?
I've been doing it since 2007 every day, and I probably drink way more than the average person would. Because we make it. So it's like anytime I'm not feeling good, I get a sore throat, take it. I don't think you can take a silver too much. Like I said, the other silvers, because they only stay in your body 6 to 8 minutes, they actually recommend taking them throughout the day. The one product that we're most compared to, and or that we've looked at the most, is Sovereign Silver. It says for general health, take a teaspoon of their product, every couple hours or 7 times a day. Our 8-ounce bottle, which sells for $40, if you take a teaspoon a day, it's a 55-day supply. You don't need to take it 7 times a day because it's going to be working your body for about 8 to 10 hours. So it's actually more affordable than there's, yes?
Does your bottle, so you sell it in an 8-ounce bottle, does it tell you how to nebulize it?
No. No, we have to be real careful what we put on the bottles because we're not allowed to give dosages. Actually, we're not allowed to make any claims. That's why we have our customer testimonies. You know, when people ask me, I just say,
Customer testimony right now, how much they use?
well, let me give you an extreme case. This woman, Roberta, 20 years ago, she was injected with Candida, almost died 3 times. There was a major lawsuit. She got a lot of money. She was homebound. Didn't go out of her house for years, couldn't work. Actually, a dentist that actually used our product, she came in to get her amalgam fillings taken out because she thought maybe that was part of her problem that she was having. And she noticed every time she left the dentist, she felt really good. Well, the dentist was using our product. So when our dentist would vacate a tooth, we have another product called the Leozone, which is ozone trapped in Alea ropa oil. She'd take out the tooth, put the Leozone in there to fight infection and spur healing, and then the customers wouldn't have any pain. But then she'd have them rinse with the Mycronic. Well, Roberta, every time she left there, she felt great. So she started on our product. She buys 8 bottles a month. Now, the medicine she was on was close to $30,000 a month. She was on so much of it, and she kept getting sick. And it kept messing up her whole system. She got on our product. Within a year, she was back working again full-time. And she wrote up a real nice testimony for us on it. And again, you can see that at our booth. But she's been on it. She won't be without it. For the first 2 years that she took it, she had to have it all the time. If she was getting, you know, low on it, I think one time she ran out for a week and a half and she started getting sick and feeling real bad. I think about 3 months ago, she went on vacation. She was without it for 3 weeks and she didn't feel sick anymore. She felt normal, but she won't stop taking it. And she's probably one of our biggest proponents on it because she said it did save her life. The dentist that I referred to, Dr. Diane Meyer, she used our product and she would use it not only when she vacated a tooth, but she would use it in her treatments. And she found that her patients were starting the healing process in 2 to 3 days instead of 2 to 3 weeks with very little to no post-op pain. She realized that halitosis and gingivitis, almost on contact, the capillary response of the gums was as if they never had it. And you know, we have a few other doctors that have used our products and dentists that have used our products. And those are going to be some of the testimonies. And actually, we're looking at putting some of those people on our advisory boards for our company. Go ahead.
2 questions. First, is your product stable enough to mix with lotions or creams or something that you can put on someone's cut or wound?
Yes, yeah, we're actually looking at making a gel. We have actually a skin product called Silvazone, which it's a fractionated coconut oil base along with our silver and actually our Leozone product made into an emulsion. And what we realize is different with our skin cream is that most other skin creams, when you put them on, they evaporate faster than they penetrate because there's lower compression to drive it in. Our product actually goes down to the subcutaneous level of the skin and rehydrates up through the layers of skin throughout the day. It also helps detoxify the skin and basically rehydrate your cells. So it helps with reducing age, wrinkles, and stretch marks.
This is not my second question, but are these available at the booth?
Yes.
My second question is, and it has nothing to do with silver. At the beginning of this, when you spoke about the guy who you were dealing with, he seems like such a jerk, and I'm wondering what made you continue to pursue it.
Self-loathing, I guess. You know, I have thick skin. I was a contractor most of my life. So stuff doesn't bother me. I mean, I've been able to identify something that I want or something I need and get beyond what I have to do to get through it. I realized he was smarter than I was. And I wanted him to be part of what we were doing. He didn't want to be part of it, but he tinkered. He liked to go through his stuff. And, you know, he's kind of, you know, introduced me to something I knew nothing about in the whole world I knew nothing about. And from that point, I kind of just took it and ran with it. You know, there's people out there that would probably think I'm the biggest jerk in the world. You know, you have to have a thick skin in this world. And I believe that, you know, I'm a spiritual person. I believe that, you know, the Lord puts us in positions to do different things in our life and take different journeys. And I think that every person in your life can add value to your life. if you can get beyond yourself and listen to them. And yeah, it worked out well for us. Unfortunately, he's no longer with us, but the one thing, because he had over 180 patents, and he did stuff for the federal government, he was afraid of them. So, he didn't want to be part of this, or didn't want me to do anything with it, and I honored his wishes. Any other questions? Well, we got 5 minutes left. We can put on some music and have a dance party. But I thank you all for coming out. I hope you will try our product. Most of the people that have bought our product over the last couple of years have reordered and seen great effects with it. And we're always willing to help consult you too. I mean, if there's something that's going on, I recommend other products to people all the time because it'll work for them. Oh, go ahead.
Just a quick question, do you have any type of a practitioner's program?
Yes. Yeah, we actually have, there's a product that we created called MicroPro for athletes. During the process of making our product, we found out that if you work out, because I used to work out a lot, not so much anymore, but I'd get sore the next day. And when you take our product, your body doesn't create the lactic acid because the mycronic silver is telling your muscles to repair themselves. So you don't have that burn that inhibits you from working out the next day. So one of our investors is Dr. Jeff Shute, and he does trains Olympic athletes, high school to college, college to pros, and Olympic athletes. And he's been doing testing with our product, and he found out that a lot of his athletes, after strenuous exercise, they have more oxygen in their system than before they actually took the product and worked out. So we're finding a lot of good things with our product as we get more into it, but it's really neat. We were able to determine that oxygen and lactic acid can't occupy the same space. So because our product has ozone, which ozone is oxygen, it just has a single nascent oxygen molecule that when it hits a disease or pathogen, it destroys it and reverts back to oxygen and water. So your average person in their blood, every molecule of hemoglobin can carry 4 oxygen molecules. Well, athletes have shown the ability to carry 6 and 8. That's why they can perform at such a higher level than we can. It also means they get depleted faster, so they have more cramping issues. So some of the athletes that have taken our product have actually found out that they don't get cramping during their sports. And that's because you deplete your body of oxygen, and then your body starts burning off nitrogen, and you get cramping in your muscles. Yes?
So would that also be a positive effect of the spike proteins?
Well, that's a whole nother world there, the spike proteins.
I know, but
The problem with the...
because of the two organs, the lungs and the heart, and it's the capillaries, and I did doing a lot of science research, because that's what I like to do, but the physician who created the SARS vaccination in the 80s and showed how all of that works. I know some of it is scary to a lot of people, but.
Are you talking about Michael Yeardon, or no?
Pardon me?
Are you talking about Michael Yeardon?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm familiar with his research.
And
He's a great guy.
I just wondered,
Well,
I know there's not enough out there.
Well, the coronavirus, the way it works is you've got 2 types of cells in your lungs. You got the pneumocyte 1 and the pneumocyte 6. The pneumocyte 1 converts carbon dioxide to oxygen. The pneumocyte 6 is responsible for creating what's called surfactant, which is the gluey liquid that lines your lungs and keeps them flexible. Your lungs go from below your shoulder blades to just above your back, and when you breathe in, it expands down. Well, what happens is that surfactant hardens, gets in your lungs are made up of holes called alveoli, and then the connecting tissue is called stitchal tissue. So when they put people on respirators, your lungs stop working. Well, that surfactant hardens like concrete, and they're dead. There's nothing they can do with it. So if they would have even just treated people with prednisone and albuterol, about 80% of the people wouldn't live or would have died. I mean, we're looking at 400,000 people that probably wouldn't have died if they would have done that. And there's tons of research. Richard Fleming, Judy Mikovits, which is going to be here, is another one. I mean, there's so much information on that. The spike protein itself is a whole nother world because it replicates the spike protein for the development of the placenta and also for the reproduction of the male organs and creating sperm. So, yeah, but we can talk about that at the booth if you want. Thank you for coming. I think we're done. And my name is Jeffrey Adam, and hopefully I'll see you guys at my booth.